It was supposed to be a perfect family vacation, a time for relaxation, laughter, and creating cherished memories that would last a lifetime. The sun-drenched beaches and the promise of carefree days beckoned for the McCanns in the picturesque coastal town of Praia da Luz, Portugal. They envisioned a week filled with joy and togetherness in this idyllic setting. Kate and Jerry McCann, both dedicated and accomplished doctors from England, were eager to escape the pressures of their demanding careers. They brought along their 3 precious children, 2-year-old twins, Sean and Amelie, bundles of energy and playful innocence, and their bright and beloved 3-year-old daughter, Madeleine. Madeleine, instantly recognizable by the distinctive, captivating mark in her eye, was known for being a bright, curious, and exceptionally engaging child, full of life and wonder. The Ocean Club Resort, with its family-friendly atmosphere, felt like a safe haven, a place where parents could finally relax and unwind, secure in the knowledge that their children were sleeping soundly nearby in the comfort of their apartment. Little did they know that this idyllic setting, a symbol of peace and tranquility, would soon become the epicenter of a baffling global mystery that would grip the world's attention. On the evening of May 3, 2007, everything irrevocably changed, shattering their perfect vacation and plunging them into an unimaginable nightmare. That night, Madeleine vanished without a trace from her bed in apartment 5A, leaving behind an empty space and a void that would never be filled. Her sudden disappearance triggered an immediate and extensive international search operation, involving countless volunteers and law enforcement agencies. It also ignited an intense media frenzy, with news outlets from around the globe descending upon Praia da Luz. The world watched with bated breath as her innocent face appeared everywhere, on television screens, newspapers, and missing person posters, symbolizing every parent's deepest and most terrifying fear: the loss of a child. The haunting question of what truly happened to Madeleine that night has continued to haunt the world, casting a long shadow over countless lives for nearly 2 decades. Even today, the search and the pursuit of answers continues relentlessly, fueled by the unwavering hope that the truth, however painful, will one day finally be revealed, bringing closure to this agonizing chapter. The enduring story of Madeleine McCann, a little girl who vanished in the night, remains a profoundly painful and deeply unsettling unsolved mystery, a constant reminder of the fragility of innocence and the enduring power of hope. The evening of May 3, 2007 began like any other idyllic vacation evening at the Ocean Club Resort in Praia da Luz, Portugal. Families strolled along the pathways, the air was warm and filled with the sounds of laughter and relaxation. Little did anyone know this peaceful facade was about to be shattered. Kate and Jerry McCann, like other parents at the resort, were settling their children into bed. Around 7 p.m., they tucked Madeleine and her younger twin siblings, Sean and Amelie, into their beds in apartment 5A. The familiar bedtime routine, a comforting ritual, was followed with care and love. With the children seemingly asleep and secure, Kate and Jerry joined a group of friends for dinner at a nearby tapas restaurant, just a short distance from their apartment. They chose a table within view of their apartment building, a decision that would later be scrutinized. In a move that reflected the relaxed atmosphere of the resort, they left the patio doors unlocked, intending to check on the children regularly. Throughout the evening, the group of friends took turns checking on their respective children, a system of shared responsibility that offered a sense of security. Each check was quick, a silent peek into the darkened rooms to ensure all was well. Jerry checked on the children at approximately 9:05 p.m. He entered the apartment quietly, peered into the children's room, and saw them all seemingly asleep in their beds. All was well, or so it seemed. Around 9:30 p.m., Matthew Oldfield, one of the friends in the group, offered to check on the McCann children. He glanced into the room, but due to the darkness, he didn't see Madeleine clearly. He assumed she was asleep and didn't enter the room to confirm. Shortly before 10 p.m., Kate decided to return to the apartment to check on the children herself. She walked the short distance from the tapas restaurant, her mind at ease, expecting to find everything as it should be. But as she entered the apartment, a chilling discovery awaited her. The window was open, the shutter raised, and Madeleine's bed was empty. A wave of panic washed over her as the realization dawned. Madeleine was gone. The twins, Sean and Amelie, remained asleep in their cots, oblivious to the unfolding tragedy. Their peaceful slumber offered a stark contrast to the horror that was about to engulf their family. A small poignant detail remained. Madeleine's beloved cuddle cat toy lay on the bed, a silent testament to her absence. It was a heartbreaking reminder of the child who had been there just hours before. In a state of utter despair, Kate ran back to the tapas restaurant, her voice raw with terror, screaming, "Madeleine's gone! Someone's taken her!" Her cries pierced the night, shattering the calm and signaling the beginning of an unimaginable ordeal. Chaos erupted at the restaurant as the news spread like wildfire. The carefree atmosphere of the evening was instantly replaced by panic and disbelief. Friends, staff, and other holidaymakers joined in a frantic search of the resort, desperately calling Madeleine's name into the darkness. Every corner of the resort became a potential hiding place, every shadow a source of both hope and fear. They scoured the grounds, peering into swimming pools, searching through bushes, and checking every possible hiding spot. The initial hope of finding her quickly began to dwindle with each passing minute, but despite their desperate efforts, there was no sign of Madeleine. The search yielded nothing but empty spaces and growing despair. In an instant, the dream holiday had transformed into a living nightmare, a horrifying ordeal that would forever change the lives of everyone involved. The frantic search continued relentlessly through the night, fueled by adrenaline and a desperate hope that Madeleine would be found safe and sound. Flashlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the faces of anxious searchers. But as dawn broke, casting a pale light over the resort, hope began to fade with each passing hour. The reality of the situation became increasingly grim. The McCann's world was irrevocably shattered, their lives plunged into a vortex of uncertainty and anguish. The joy they had experienced just hours before was replaced by an unbearable pain. And so began the story of Madeleine's disappearance, a story that would capture the attention of the world and spark an unprecedented international investigation. The nightmare was real, a parent's worst fear come to life. And for Kate and Jerry McCann, it was a nightmare that would never truly end, a constant shadow hanging over their lives. The world's attention turned to the small resort town of Praia da Luz, Portugal, as people everywhere desperately hoped for answers and prayed for Madeleine's safe return. From the start, the unfolding scene presented a puzzle, a chilling enigma that demanded immediate answers. Every piece of evidence, every subtle clue, was scrutinized under the intense glare of the investigation. The evidence, meticulously gathered and analyzed, pointed to abduction. The investigators began to consider the grim possibility that someone had intentionally taken Madeleine. The initial assessment of the scene suggested more than just a simple disappearance. The children's bedroom window was open, an unsettling detail that immediately raised suspicions. It was an obvious point of entry, but also a potential red herring. The shutter forced up, details a 3-year-old couldn't manage. The height, the force required all indicated the involvement of an adult. It suggested a calculated entry by someone who knew what they were doing, someone who had planned this out. This wasn't a random act, it was a deliberate intrusion. Jane Tanner, a friend of the family, provided a crucial piece of the puzzle. She saw a man carrying a child in pajamas, a description that matched Madeleine, near the apartment around 9:15 p.m. This sighting placed a potential suspect in the immediate vicinity at a critical time. The Smith family also reported seeing a man with a young girl around 10 p.m., further corroborating Tanner's account and solidifying the timeline. These sightings formed a chilling timeline, painting a disturbing picture of the events that transpired that night. Of a possible abductor escaping into the night, disappearing into the shadows with Madeleine. Portuguese police focused on abduction, setting up roadblocks and alerting borders, initiating a widespread search in hopes of intercepting the kidnapper. But precious hours had already passed, time that the abductor could use to get further away, making the search increasingly difficult. The crime scene was compromised, a significant setback for the investigation. As people entered the apartment before forensics arrived, potentially disturbing crucial evidence and making it harder to determine what had truly happened. Despite these setbacks, the abduction theory remained central, the most plausible explanation given the available evidence. Investigators believe the kidnapper may have watched the family, studying their routines, waiting for the right moment to strike. The open window, a silent invitation, raised shutter, a sign of forced entry, and witness accounts all pointed to a stranger slipping in and taking Madeleine, a terrifying scenario that gripped the world's attention. The sense of safety at the resort was shattered forever, replaced by fear and uncertainty as the search for Madeleine intensified. Investigators also considered whether Madeleine could have wandered off. The ground floor apartment and unlocked patio doors made it possible for a child to leave. She might have woken, searched for her parents, and gotten lost in the dark resort. Theories included her falling into a construction site or wandering toward the ocean. But there were problems: the twins didn't wake, and the window and shutter were open, unlikely for a small child to manage. Kate found the bedroom door open, contradicting the idea of a quiet exit. An extensive search yielded no trace, no clothing, footprints, or evidence. The complete lack of physical evidence made this theory less likely. The silence and absence of clues pointed back to abduction. The possibility of a simple accident faded as the investigation continued. In the aftermath, public sympathy for the McCanns was immense. They launched Madeleine's fund and received global support. But as the investigation stalled, suspicion turned toward Kate and Jerry. Portuguese police named them formal suspects based on controversial sniffer dog evidence. The theory suggested Madeleine died in the apartment and her parents covered it up, a claim the McCanns vehemently denied. They endured intense interrogations and public scrutiny. Their arguido status was lifted in 2008 due to lack of evidence, but suspicion lingered. The media's relentless speculation added to their pain. The McCanns were forced to defend themselves while still searching for their daughter. The investigation was plagued by missteps and dead ends. Portuguese police were criticized for mishandling the case. Lead investigator Goncalo Amaral was removed and later accused the McCanns in a controversial book. The case was archived in 2008, but the McCanns hired private investigators to keep searching. In 2011, the UK's Operation Grange brought renewed focus and resources. New e-fits and witness accounts revived hope, shifting attention back to abduction. Theories ranged from child trafficking to a burglary gone wrong, but none led to Madeleine. In 2020, German police identified Christian Bruckner, a convicted sex offender, as a prime suspect. Cell phone records placed him near the resort that night. Searches of his properties yielded items for analysis, but no breakthrough. Bruckner remains uncharged in the McCann case, though he is the most significant lead in years. The case remains open, with hope for answers still alive. At its core, this is a story of a family's love and pain. Kate McCann's pleas for Madeleine's return were broadcast worldwide, her grief raw and unfiltered. She describes the torment of daily reminders, birthdays, children's clothes, and the empty space at home. Jerry McCann, stoic in public, carries immense guilt over that night. He became the campaign's public face, determined to keep searching. Every year, the McCanns mark Madeleine's birthday, sharing messages and age-progressed photos. Their enduring hope is a testament to their love. "We love you and we're never going to give up," they declared. Behind the headlines is a family missing a piece of its heart. Their search for answers is a story of hope and heartbreak. As of July 2025, the search for Madeleine continues. Operation Grange remains active, focusing on Christian Bruckner. Investigators in Germany and the UK believe he holds the key, but lack definitive evidence. Bruckner is imprisoned for other crimes. The legal process is slow and complex. Recent searches in Portugal yielded items for analysis, but no breakthrough. The McCanns remain in limbo, balancing grim news with hope. The financial and emotional toll has been enormous, but the search endures. For investigators and the family, the case is unfinished, a puzzle that must be solved. Madeleine's disappearance became a global touchstone, changing how we think about child safety. Her face is recognized worldwide, symbolizing lost innocence and parental fear. The case transformed media coverage of crime, exposing both its power and its pitfalls. It sparked debates about press ethics and the treatment of victims' families. The McCann's campaign improved international cooperation and child alert systems. Their advocacy has helped other families of missing children. Madeleine's legacy is one of hope, change, and the fight to protect vulnerable children. The story remains unfinished, driving the world's desire for answers. At its center is a smiling 3-year-old girl whose fate is still unknown. Until the truth is found, her story will continue to be told and hope will endure.